Hello, and welcome to our failed attempt at streaming on American Dreamland. It's something we've been talking about doing as a way to like reach people and kind of do the Art Bell coast to coast thing. And tech didn't want to work. So we're just gonna do what we were gonna practice the live stream for and then just put it behind the paywall and release some clips of us being funny and all of that. So, uh, Misty, you and I both recently saw Backrooms,
Mhm.
and I have a statement I want to make, but I want to get your opinion first, before I say it.
A statement overall on the back rooms or on the movie?
The movie, we'll get into the Backrooms.
Well, I guess I'll save my rating for the end overall. I would say I enjoyed it. I think for a directorial debut for such a young guy, it was impressive. I loved the ambiance of a lot of the scenes. Um, I think there was some weakness in the story for me, but overall I had fun. I think
Yeah,
at some
okay.
points it could drag a little bit.
Yeah, I probably liked it a little bit more than you. I just wanted to make sure you generally enjoyed it, before I
Mhm.
say that this is the best possible movie we're ever gonna get from 4chan. So I feel we can
Yeah,
get what 4chan can provide some basis, not about itself to make at least one half decent movie, but at most one really good movie. And I think Backrooms is somewhere in the middle there, I think, would be averaging out our scores and everything. So pack it in. I don't think we need to do any more ideas from 4chan and make movies about them.
yeah, yeah, I think this is probably the most positive thing that has ever come out of 4chan.
Yeah. Also, since this is now just going to be a normal podcast, the image for it is going to be that image from Mad Men of Don Draper, and then instead of Hershey's, it's going to be Liminal Spaces.
I mean, I really enjoyed the ambiance and the tension building. I think
Yes,
that was very masterful in this movie. I think that alone makes seeing this movie worth it and really fun.
I know this is a term that gets like thrown around a lot, and I don't necessarily want to draw these like comparisons, both because it's kind of like a little cliched, and also I don't actually want to like compare their two works, because I think I've said on the show David Lynch is my favorite film director of all time.
Mhm.
And I don't, maybe Kane Parsons can beat that. Who knows? He's 20, which is wild for a number of reasons. Um, but it is, I think, Lynchian in the sense of it's not like horror of the mundane, it's surrealism of the mundane. And
Yeah.
while this was a horror movie, I do feel that Lynchian tends to be horror because it's unsettling. And I do think that it had a good balance because it wasn't trying to be this like artsy, you know, art house. I, I can come up with better metaphors that don't involve the word art, but like it wasn't trying to be um make a statement per se. It was trying to be like a good solid mid-budget, movie, and that happened to be horror. So I think it did a good job of like distinguishing the unease and the actual horror that was going on and the monsters and everything.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was really good. I simultaneously liked the I guess the subtleness from the storyline of Clark, our main character, so to speak.
Yeah, the centerpiece,
The center,
because
yeah.
arguably, and I guess general spoilers, just because we're probably going to be jumping around. I guess the protagonist, quote unquote, would probably be the therapist, but
Mhm.
time wise, they either get co-equal time or Clark is in a little more. Um,
Yeah.
but it clearly becomes, I think, like the moral and direct empathy we're supposed to have, or identification, is with her at the end of the movie.
Yeah. Yeah. And though but then also, I don't know if I completely loved the explanation for the backrooms that we get
I
ultimately,
I
or the
guess
hint.
I again, not as someone not very well versed in like the lore or anything, I do think that it I feel like that's more of an aspect of I'll just say it's 50-50 because I don't know what to blame. That's an aspect of the times we live in where famously Netflix is like, you have to repeat things because we just assume the audience is on their phone when they're watching Netflix. Um, and him being kind of 20, or at least a
Yeah.
first time filmmaker, in the sense of, I feel like you have to do something that people can base it on. I think that's in the lore from what I heard. That's generally what people think the backrooms are. But I think that there's enough separation and the fact that the scientist doesn't really confirm any of that to be like, this is just Clark's perception of what is going on. That kind of makes sense with what we're seeing, but it doesn't rule out or negate other explanations.
Yeah, true. Because I'm still thinking about, because you kinda have 3 perspectives simultaneously by the end of, because now obviously we're in spoiler alert territory if you don't want spoilers,
Mhm.
but you have Clark, you have the therapist, and then you have the scientists, this weird company
Yeah,
that's doing research.
which I think kind of goes along with the fact that they don't even say, well, we made MRI machines, and then in an experiment or testing a new model, we found this thing. It was like, we make
Yeah,
MRI machines, and then we found this thing, and then we just did science because we're a bunch of scientists. Like,
right.
I feel like that also kind of goes with the whole, like, I don't know, if you want to believe Clark, fine. We can do a million other things. Who cares? That's like not really the point of what this probably franchise, especially if it's like based off of things, what this probable franchise is gonna be. So it's not like locking itself in, but still has something to like reflect of like, okay, this is how people are at least can perceive it, so we can build off of their expectations and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think obviously we flash back a lot to the therapist's childhood, and you can infer that why she became a therapist
Yeah.
from her paranoid mother forcing her to stay inside, to her paranoid mother getting locked away
And then
5150, basically, to her
a
losing her
shell
child.
of her former self, much like
Mhm.
arguably Clark, with all of that. I also, just because I've been lately going through a bunch of our like episodes, we're trying to be professional and like release clips and promote ourselves or whatever. At this point, if you're hearing this, like some of it worked. So two things. One, this is our obligatory Misty, I don't know if you know, every time we do a movie or semi-movie focused episode, I do have to double check on our 2012 episode. But I was editing our episode about Snake Eye. Uh, can you still hear me?
Yep, I can still hear you.
Okay. Sorry, just with all of our tech problems. I guess I slightly adjusted and moved my screen and it turned off, but and I had a power outage earlier, so I was freaking out, but apparently I just hit the screen and I'll show up.
And then you're gonna find a light on your wall, and then you're gonna end up in the back rooms.
Yeah.
The
Oh,
back
this
rooms
is
of your mind.
I'm going to say this, which is first of all, I don't know what to call it, but we're seeing a resurgence in a genre that I can best describe as loser core, where sometimes knowingly, sometimes unknowingly, we just show that the main character is a divorced like failure of some kind. Um,
Mhm.
the first thought that like Clark, great example of that. I have to say, middle-aged divorcee, alcoholic, who owns a small business. I have never seen something more perfectly represented than that scene before he finds the back rooms, where he's just watching TV in one of the beds on the showroom, just drinking straight bourbon.
Yeah, that was pretty good. I also really loved, the culmination where he just learns to we discover once he's been missing for a little bit in the back rooms that and his therapist goes to find him, that we culminate into once she finds him or he finds her, he knocks her out, takes her to his back rooms home, and just explains how I love it here. I'm having a great time. I can eat the fake people.
Oh my god! Like, because there's nothing I hate more than a fake person. Um, which is like the ultimate. Here's the thing: that kind of thing of "oh, I hate fake people" got popular with like the dumbest people on reality TV. But when you think about it, that is the ultimate sign of an insecure dumb person. Because even if you have the affects of being smart, you just use different terms to be like, "Ugh, I don't like people who engage in the banality of small talk, who deal with simple things." It's like, oh, it's because you're too dumb to have a normal relationship or actually have complex conversations. So you're just doing something to be like, I'm going to throw a controversial topic at you. So you're just kind of weirded out and don't try and ask me questions.
Yeah. And so this leads up to a tense conversation with him and his therapist where it reflects an earlier session they had where they practiced role playing an argument Clark and his now I ex-wife, separated wife had, where Clark comes home drunk. His his wife is upset because he comes in stumbling home, wakes her up. She's a law student, and he flips out on her because he's supporting her through law school, and he tells her to get off her lazy fat ass.
Which is just like, I think my favorite part of the movie is when she's just like, I don't. Sorry, I'm trying to work on tech issues. My favorite part of the movie is when she's just like, I don't give a shit what you think. Like, it's one of those like people acting realistic in a horror movie that I love. Of it's just like, I don't give a shit like what you do or whatever. Just like let me the fuck out of here. I want to go home.
Yeah, yeah, because she's, like, forcing him into this exercise in the beginning, not forcing him, but basically, like, let's practice this argument again to try to get him to realize, "Hey, don't you think you're kinda being a dick to your wife?" And
Yeah.
maybe that's why she left, not anything and, it's not really about your drinking. I mean, it's
Oh,
part of it, but it's also because you're an asshole.
or because you have these traits that she can tolerate, she can't tolerate that and alcoholism. Um,
Yeah.
Question, do you think he was seeing her of his own volition?
Um, I don't know, because I was wondering if he just I kinda took it as he accepted in the moment, the message I got when he forces her to role play, he is showing her after he knocks her out, she wakes up in his backroom's house at a dinner table, shows her that there's these people there, but they're not really people. It's like the backrooms remembers people that have likely been through the backrooms, but it
Right.
remembers them wrong, so they look funky. He's showing her like, "Hey, I can you can eat them and stuff because they're not human. I can stab them, look, like they don't feel anything, they don't really react. They have some movement, I don't know why they do some of the things they do." But basically implying he's been surviving off eating them and just chilling around, which to
I think it's
me
explicit. I don't think there's a lot of great subtext in this movie. I don't think that's one of those moments. Like great subtext in the movie is you can tell part of like they don't really say it, but my kind of reading of it is the therapist I think has a huge problem with like modernity,
Mhm.
especially the Melu whatever of that era, and I think part of it is easy to be like, especially as it's framed, is she sees modernity as the place that destroyed my childhood home and built up all these skyscrapers. And now all I have is this like one happy memory. Whereas it becomes more complicated of did it happen in the way that she imagines it? Given the status of her mother, was it more this was kind of a downward trajectory neighborhood? Obviously, she's not allowed to like that house has to be condemned and everything. So just, well, this house gets condemned and then over time people just sell their houses and a developer like buys it normally or whatever. Like how much of that like but it's easy, especially like yeah, land developers do shady shit all the time. Um or maybe it is, but it becomes a lot more complicated than just her like she's like, "Oh, like the modernity could also be like this destroyed the worst part of my life, but it also means because I can't engage with it now, I'll never have proper closure." Like it could be a symbol of that.
Yeah.
The whole "I'm insane and eating people" is like just straight up said.
Yeah, he's just like, "Look, I can eat them." And she's like, "Okay." I don't trying to keep the therapist persona going to try to talk him down. Quickly realizes, I think, once he there is a woman there in the corner with red hair. We see in a photo that Clark's uh now his wife he's separated from has red hair, so he wants to repeat the role play exercise. He cuts off, scalps the backrooms woman and puts the hair on the therapist and tries to recreate the role play. She gets sick of this, and that's when she snaps out of it and is like, basically, "What the fuck is this? Like, I don't Clark, I
Yeah,
don't really give a shit." Like, and he's like, "I can't change, basically. I like it here." And she's like, "Okay,
I
then
don't
stay. Like, what do you want me to do?" Which to me was like, I took as you can't help people who don't wanna change. You cannot
yeah,
help people who
I know that it's based off of, like, there's all this internet lore and that, Kane Parsons is the most popular, but by no means the only, like, creator, in the
Mhm.
Backrooms universe or whatever. Um, and I know that there was first of all, I don't see I think a lot of this, especially with like the rise of AI, people going like, "Oh, look at all of these producers who have a ton of like horror experience." Like, are we sure he directed it? Like, fuck you. Like, that's kind of how Hollywood works. Is especially since I was reading, like, he signed that deal in, like, 2021, so, like or something like that, so they've been working on this movie for, like, 5 years or several years, so it's like, yeah, it went through a lot of people who have certain stakes or back end who are big in the horror genre. It's not like, "Oh, this one actor-director is it." It's like, no, it's Osgood Perkins, arguably the most prolific, respected horror director working in the mainstream right now. It's, people like that who or like I think Jordan Peele might have a producer who has like, "Oh, an indie horror movie that gets a large budget because of institutional support." Yeah. When has Jordan Peele done that except all the time since Get Out got made? Like arguably maybe
Yeah.
even Get Out a little bit of him using his whatever Hollywood clout he had to be just like, let me just make a fun, quote unquote, fun movie. Um, so really amazing, like that he is able to like understand these intricacies of just because it felt so real to those, and it's so hard, like in movies now to be like actual genuine. It is like this woman is doing everything logical in the sense of, man, I'm a very empathetic therapist, and my last encounter with this one patient I had who was unstable went poorly, and no one's seen him in several weeks. Like, yeah, if she did it, I don't think she did anything wrong by the book, but I can see her having guilt pursuing that. I can see there are those people who are kind of built crazy of, I see this weird thing, I have to like explore it, especially when it is like matching the story. And she knows when to draw the line of it's like, you're either gonna kill me or not. So just get the fuck away from me. I cannot handle this. Like, I'm done. Like, very good understanding. And I also want to say that the excellent loser core aesthetics of Clark's character. First of all, um, this is why I think there's magic because it has nothing to do like I I understand why everyone is always now freaked out when someone younger than them does something amazing because it for me it's not I think I've gotten old and mature enough to be like, yeah, no, I'm old enough where there's an upcoming generation of people who did things good for them. I don't like hopefully they succeed. If they're not evil, God bless them. Like that kind of thing. So it's less that I can't believe a 20-year-old did this, but it is more like how good of 90s loser core he has when he was born like 5 years after 9/11. He has like zero conscious memories that don't involve Barack Obama.
Yeah.
And like, him able to, like, just na even down to, like, it makes I don't know if that's just kismet of, like, it makes sense of, like, "Oh, why is this character so good at moving these areas?" He's an architect, he understands how buildings work. But also, architect was, like, the ultimate like, architect and marketing advertising guy were the ultimate, like, Gen X jobs of, like, "Ugh, everything's evil, it sucks. All I do is draw buildings all day." When I want to make cathedrals or whatever or skate parks. It's like, fuck off. Just enjoy being an architect. Like, arguably, you're the one ethical person who will like make money off of like a Northrop Grumman of we need someone to design an office building. Okay, do I have to design murder weapons? No. Great. It's just another contract. Um, so yeah, great loser job there. And then yeah, just all the aesthetics of like weird suburbia down like I don't know if you have them in Ohio, but, like, I connected so much to just a deranged local commercial with way too much lore that is completely nonsensical to either their product or their branding, i.e.,
Yeah.
Clark's being called Clark's Ottoman Empire, um, and for some reason he's dressed as a pirate as opposed to
Yeah.
a sultan, which they directly say, like, if you want it to be punny, why aren't you a sultan or some kind of like orientalist royal figure? Like, why are you a pirate? It doesn't have anything to do with your pun. The one that hit me is like in LA we have two mattress firms that have insane commercials. One is called Sit and Sleep, where I swear to God, it's the most anti-Semitic caricature. Is the company lawyer who's like constantly have his name is like Irv, and he's constantly having aneurysms because the prices are too low. You're killing me, Larry. Um, and then the other one is like, I guess it's a furniture place, but it's called Michael's Furniture. And they would just do these weird soap opera bits with like the family members. And then there was just one guy who was just always in a pink bunny suit for some reason.
Yeah, we had a lot of weird I'm trying to remember some, but they were just always on, like, the public network channels and just weird it was just weird Midwest shit.
I know in the South, they don't really have those types of commercials because in LA, it's almost always furniture stores and car dealerships do this. I think the one other
Mhm.
probably famous cultural example is Crazy Gideon, who his prices were so low, he must be crazy. Said in the thickest Israeli accent one can imagine, I'm not going to do it because if we get canceled over Israel, I want it to actually be a statement of humanity and purpose. But yeah, so it was mostly like furniture stores and car dealerships. In the South, my friends who have lived there say it's lawyers. Lawyers are the ones who have those types of commercials where there's like insane lore and reoccurring characters, and like the lawyers are some like ethical version of Saul from Better Call Saul.
Yeah, we have a lot of the lawyers,
Hmm.
for sure, for sure. But I think when we get to so what's interesting when you bring up his pirate character, once Clark lets her go after she's like, "I don't give a shit, like, you can live in the back rooms and you don't have to change. You can be a shitty person. I don't really give a shit. Just let me go." And once he lets her go, the pirate version of himself comes out, who presumably is just a version the back rooms of himself that or a version of himself that the back rooms created, and he's talking to it. It's much larger than him. It's dressed up as the pirate that he was in the commercial, and he's talking to it like it's okay, like everything's good. She said we can stay, like it's fine. And then it just kills him.
Yeah,
It just like rips his throat out or whatever. And so therapist, she's on the run.
I'm glad a member of the Hollywood liberal elite who's not part of Scientology was able to take therapists down a peg. Tired of this wokeness. Um, but I guess I'm also too woke because I don't think it's a holocaust. I don't think psychiatry is the holocaust. Why? Um, which is why I cannot join the Scientologist.
But I think there it was showing if I had to say there is a message there, it's that Clark was destined to destroy himself
Yeah.
by not getting better, obviously, through
Wait, you're saying a man who has an entire furniture store, um, and plenty of empty rooms where he can just move that furniture, so he could say, "Sleep in the basement," decided to just sleep in the most uncomfortable and, like, hard to set up display to watch TV and get shit-faced.
Mhm.
That's
Mhm.
a man who isn't thinking things through.
And yeah, when you accept that you just wanna be that person, that eventually, man, maybe that won't work out for you. So anyway, our therapist friend starts getting chased by Pirate Clark. Chased all over the back rooms. Earlier in the back rooms, though, we had a different creature
Oh?
coming around. At least I thought it was a different creature. I
No,
assumed it was a
it's
was
the
it
pirate.
Pirate Clark? Oh,
Yeah.
it's Pirate
I
Clark the whole time?
Yeah. Also, I guess this is more of a free form, so we don't do it. Um, I did want to just say I'm really glad the Backrooms exists. And again, I did really enjoy this movie, but I'm happy about the existence of the movie The Backrooms, because I understand why people who want to read House of Leaves can't because it's dumb and annoying. So I'm glad they have
Hey,
a
I did a
movie.
book project on that my senior year of high school.
Listen, I'm not saying it's plagiarism. In fact, far from it, because it is just kind of like generally dumb. Basic concept of like, what if a house was bigger and there was a monster in it? Like that premise is not why House of Leaves is incredible. It's because of the weird formatting and the skill, the aesthetic skill of the writing. But nevertheless, I'm glad we now have something instead of just having to be that guy at a party is like, no, you should really read House of Leaves. It's like you should watch the movie Backrooms.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I thought it was there's multiple, but I guess it was just Clark.
I think in the lore there's other monsters.
There is. And
So
I
yeah,
guess I assumed because we were and maybe I watched too many lore videos. I guess I assumed because we saw the scientists the first scene opens up with some of the scientists in the like lore, the typical suits you see them in. If you see some of those like backrooms videos like on TikTok or Reels or whatever,
mhm.
you see them in the suits and everything walking through. So I assumed we did have other creatures we were dealing with, not just I assumed, I guess, that with Clark going in there more and more, it created Carlton
I
Clark.
it could be. It's who know. Like I'm also okay with just having ambiguity of just like I know enough of the metaphysics of the backrooms to know like the rules. Um whereas okay, I know what is and isn't possible, but also I don't need a thorough explanation of stuff. So you can just like follow the rules and scare me and I'll be happy.
Right. So eventually she has her showdown, runs through, has her showdown with pirate monster backrooms Clark, and runs into other scientists. Runs into the
Yeah,
scientists, I guess should I say. Runs into the scientists who then take her to their lab
which
where
is
she
also in the Bay Area.
Presumably is also because we do have some scenes throughout the film of one scientist in particular who is also the main actor. If you have, I don't know, Max, if you have seen the Creep movies.
I have not, but I do want to say that it is hilarious because you are the second person who I've talked to about this movie that was like, "I can't believe the guy from The Creep makes a cameo in it." Which I'm mostly mentioning not anything against The Creep or anything, but considering how many famous people and if not like major stars, at least like competent and influential people in the industry how much we have forgotten The League as a television program because he was one of the lead actors in that show. And I have never heard anyone refer to him as, Mark Duplass from The League.
He's the creep guy.
That's
That's him, the
fair.
creep man.
He is in fact the creep man. Parentheses in the movie, not actually problematic. End parentheses. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Again, that's nothing against the creep. That's nothing against. I mean, he keeps going back, so I assume that means he gets something out of it and enjoys playing the character. Very happy when an actor can have that. It's just very funny that maybe because it was when I was in college, so like I knew a ton of people doing fantasy football, but like the league was the like biggest bro show when I was in like college and grad school. And then that one guy lied about surviving 9/11, and then we just completely erased it from our cultural memory.
Well, you should watch Creep and Creep 2,
Okay.
and then he can be the guy from Creep.
Now should I watch Creep and Creep 2 before or after I watch The Predator? Which I feel I'm contractually obligated to include because I've been going through our old episodes to make clips and stuff. And apparently every time we do a movie episode, I forget that you have forgotten that I haven't seen The Predator. So it
After
somehow
after because the Predator's, like, required viewing at this point, it's like
Yeah, no, we've mentioned it at least 3 or 4 times in the podcast and at least 2 of them, I have no recollection of the plot of the movie, so I'm just like, I just randomly bring up no, I think one time you brought up Predator, one time I brought up Predator, and then it's just like, "Oh yeah, autism is a super weapon," and I'm like, "That's
it's
weird."
just it's an objectively hilarious movie that is even funnier that it was made in, like, 2018.
It's so
That
it
was greenlit, and they made a whole ass movie around it, um, and to me, that
so
will forever not be hilarious.
there is a very similar short speaking of obscure genres, since we're talking about this, you have the classic loser core, um you know of just like totally just like the absolute most loser middle class guys. Backrooms is a great example with Clark of someone understanding the archetype perfectly, and then a great example of someone making those movies but is one of those guys is the Den of Thieves movies, which is just
Um,
Gerard Butler bloated as hell being a corrupt LA sheriff. The second movie, the first time we see him is him in a poor fitting suit, King Charles sausage fingers in the bathroom of the LA family courthouse. Um, and then he just puts water over his face, and then he just screams and punches the paper towel dispenser.
you gotta love it.
It's just one of the greatest character introductions in all of cinema, in my opinion. But yeah, you have that. Um, I feel that like The Predator is a great example of the type of movie that was like trying to be like, hey, we acknowledge wokeness, but we still want to be fun about it. Right before Me Too happened. So it's just like when there was just that moment of after Trump and Weinstein and everything, just this like absolute like woke authoritarianism, and then you just have a handful of movies that were like skirting the edge that would have been fine before all of this, but then just became weirdly problematic or uncomfortable. um I feel like an extended version of that is the second Fantastic Beast movies, where it's like Johnny Depp is in it, and then J.K. Rowling had said some questionable stuff, and they were just like, "No, it's fine. Johnny Depp should have his day in court or whatever." Um, and then the other version of that that happened earlier was um, movies released but clearly filmed and greenlit before September 11th,
Yeah.
which is like, I'm sure we can make some movie that's somewhat sympathetic to Arab terrorists. Oh no.
Well, we might have
or
a repeat of, like, Fantastic Beasts with the new remake of Harry Potter.
it's gonna be great.
That's gonna be
That
hilarious.
yeah,
Nobody
it's
likes J.K. Rowling, nobody likes Joanne anymore, she's lost her ever-loving mind.
because she forgot to folks, this is another like unintended evil of capitalism is when money equals power. Sometimes when your dumb friend hits the lottery to make $1 billion, aka J.K. Rowling with Harry Potter, uh she'll sometimes do dumb things, especially if she hasn't had time to build up to that money. If it's like somewhat overnight, she'll do things like buy a Scottish castle and then move straight in without like checking to see how long it's been abandoned and have cleaners go through to make sure it's livable. So you get infected with black mold.
Yeah, and then we all get to witness your downfall. But then it is troubling because you are making horrific anti-trans laws possible in the UK, so, um, that also isn't fun. So sorry to all no hate to those child actors that are gonna be in the Harry Potter show. I wish you all good luck. I really hope it doesn't hurt the trajectory of your careers. You're in for a tight spot, kiddos, but
Oh,
you know what? Good luck, kids. I feel so bad for those kids, but you know what?
I have a
I
question.
don't
Like,
know.
let's say JK was like the most like woke person ever, that she was like the Mark Ruffalo, who apparently is another person we talk a lot about. Um, she's like the Mark Ruffalo of,
Mhm.
young adult fiction. Would it still be horrific child abuse to put these children through that simply because of how insane the Harry Potter fan base is? Kind of
I think
like
so.
I understand it was painful for them, uh, and I know it was probably other stuff going on, but I'm really glad Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson were Edward and Bella, if for no other reason because they had enough maturity uh, and healthy detachment from the role to like survive the insane abuse that was thrown their way.
Yeah, I am no, I think even if there wasn't a big turn and a huge section of the fan base, I think those kids would be in for a wild ride regardless. And I think no matter what, even though we've had new laws and all this stuff, I think being a child actress is dangerous, as we have
Uh,
seen.
just dropping my forever recommendation, Nathan Fielder's The Rehearsal. Um, definite. I feel like there. I don't know how to describe it, but there is a kind of weird trinity of just like the most insightful commentary of our times comes from Tim Heidecker, Nathan Fielder, and oh god, Tim Robinson. I think you should leave guy. Like
Yeah.
the, the Chair Company is like probably the best commentary of of the suburban Ohioans that are this fundamentally key demographic that are bringing us fascism. No, My apologies to
Hey,
to apologies
hey,
to your allies and comrades in
hey,
Ohio suburbia.
hey. Take that
Uh,
back.
Here's what I will say is I will say it is not inherently like uh, like you can be woke in the suburban Ohio middle class, but it's able to capture and show the mindset of how these wild things happen. Um
Yeah,
not not just the him being conspiratorial about everything and there actually being some kind of weird conspiracy, but also along the lines of like that guy who is just like guilts him into taking his dog back so he can keep posting his dog on Instagram and abusing him. Like that just spoke to like a kind of insanity that is just like, oh, I see why these people say would be able to say like, "Fuck, the economy's bad. Guess I'll vote for the Muslim even though he did 9/11," and then just immediately turn to Trump, but only because the
yeah,
Democratic nominee was a woman.
yeah, yeah. I get a lot. Misty, you have some crazy life experiences, and I'm like, this is normal to me. And then sometimes I'm like, is it normal because I grew up in Ohio? I went to college in Ohio. And maybe this is just a normal Ohio experience, and these things just don't happen in other places. I
If
don't know.
it makes you feel any better, um, one, California is the state that produced Ronald Reagan and Gavin Newsom, so
True.
I'm not trying to claim any purity here, and if you want to talk about like weird suburban voters who are helping fascism, I guarantee if you just ask them on the issues and how they felt, um, I would say Tom Steyer should have won the suburban vote, uh, especially in LA County, like 96 to nothing if it was a purely issue thing. But
Yeah.
because of just various hatred of the unhoused, this weird middle ground, like, and despite their hatred of them, there's a reason Javier Becerra and Steve Hilton are the people who are going to make the runoff. Like, that's a perfectly normal California thing to happen.
Yeah.
Hello?
You know
Yeah.
who oh my god, you know who I was thinking of?
Mm.
Dennis Kucinich?
Yeah.
You know good old Dennis Kucinich, would play basketball in my hometown,
Okay,
and he
maybe we should put a pause here, only because Dennis Kucinich involves a multi-part episode, from like,
Max, I had a little relationship with good old not it like as a kid he'd write me letters, and he wrote me a letter about I was like, "Dennis, I love the wolves, Dennis," and he's like he wrote to baby Misty, and he was like, "I love the wolves too, baby Misty." He gave me an
um,
award one time for volunteering. He played basketball across the street from my house. He has a really hot wife.
oh my god, his wife, first of all, is like 2 feet taller than him, and I don't want to.
Yeah.
She is incredibly tall, but she is not freakishly tall. He is just freakishly small.
No.
She's like
Good old
maybe
Dennis is
she's like
short.
6'2" or something, like very tall, but still. Um, yeah, no, hot
He's
ass
hot.
wife. Apparently the worst mayor in the history of the city of Cleveland. Like, I had a friend in
I
high
mean, I
school.
guess, but
I had a friend in high school whose dad was from Cleveland, and he's like, my dad still complains about Dennis Kucinich because it's one of the times he was running for president, and he's like, he yelled at the TV and said, "You're the reason I left my home." Which is like wild because I think he was mayor in like the early 70s and he probably like if okay, I had this friend in high school, so this is at least 20 something years since he was mayor and it's still like this immense hatred of him. Um, yeah, for a while, the only vegan in, Congress, um, and,
I love Dennis.
saw a UFO with Shirley MacLaine, which is it's weird that it happened with Shirley
Okay.
MacLaine, who
Okay,
he
we're
was
gonna
just
do an
friends with. Yeah.
episode on Dennis Kucinich because I have a connection to Dennis. You know what? It's unfortunate that I think my award given to me by Dennis was burned up in our house fire last year, but he gave me
Oh,
an award.
no. Uh,
Damn.
God, I maybe we could get Dennis Kucinich on the pod. That'd be so. I
Maybe. He probably
I
wouldn't remember me, but I'd be like, "Dennis, do you remember when you played basketball at the park and your hot wife was
I
there sometimes?"
yeah. Hey, um, what do you think that UFO you saw was? And why are you so weirdly pro Trump when it comes to international matters? That's like super weird. He's like
It is
he
super weird.
I have to look into what he's been up to. I think he
I don't
was
know what he's up to
floated for a
now.
position in the first Trump administration. I know he did some he was did one of those like Russian sponsored things that had a bunch of like left-wing cranks like Jill Stein and stuff. Um so I don't know entirely his politics, but like he could very easily be like the proto mega communist guy of just like Medicare for all, but also we got to vote Trump because he won't have us invade Iran.
And we can really not undersell how fucking hot his wife is. Like,
Um,
she is
she is a
hot.
hotter version of Christina Hendricks. And this is, I want to make it very clear, in no way me criticizing anything about the perfection of beloved actress Christina Hendricks. It is just what a smoke show Elizabeth Kucinich is.
Yeah. Yep. You know, what a time. I don't know. He's a little kooky though.
Yeah,
But back to the
he's
back rooms.
oh my god. we
This is in our episode about Dennis Kucinich and how Misty would watch him play basketball sometimes,
uh I
and that
think
he
the
wrote me a nice letter about protecting wolves.
I think the problem is if we're just gonna do this as a semi live stream, is we do this in our episodes, but like especially since I take on more of the producer role, it's very easy to be like, oh, in this episode about I don't know, a cryptid, Max went on a 40-minute rant about French politics for some reason. Oh, we can just cut that out, right? Like, I derail this podcast so often. We have the benefit of I don't think I ever mentioned fire tokens in any of our Survivor episodes, but like I constantly reference like how I took out a 30-minute rant about fire tokens in all of them.
Right, but we can make this work for the back rooms because just like the back rooms, you go to a different room. We jump to various topics.
That's right.
And somehow it led us to the magic of Dennis Kucinich
He truly is a wonderful little creature. Um
and his hot wife. And maybe that was part of my bi awakening, but we will talk about that more. You know, maybe
uh
Elizabeth Kucinich was a part of my bi awakening as a child, but we don't know. So we'll talk about
should
that more in another episode.
if we're talking about weird dudes who ran in the 2008 Democratic primary, I have to double check it, but I believe there's only 5 or 6 politicians I've ever actually donated money to. And one of them is Mike Gravel, um, who is another old school crazy 60s activist who somehow got to Congress, and then got a little weird and kooky with it.
Gotta love it.
Yeah. But yeah, so I guess the reason I also wanted to talk about the backrooms is one, so we could use the incredible title "Blowing Out the Backrooms," Two, now I want to do that John Draper picture of him going liminal spaces. Um, but also kind of the idea of like there is a bunch of like lore and everything, and it is kind of like, is it even a formal ARG? Is there any kind of like we've talked about SPC or SCP, and that how that was a kind of like collaborative fiction project, but the Backrooms isn't really like that. Do you know a lot about like the history of it, or you said you've researched the lore?
I I've seen lore videos, so I would watch some lore videos from time to time. I cannot claim to like I haven't gone down like actually trying to understand the lore, but I've watched like the lore format. So I've watched the videos of the guys in the yellow suit that we see in the video, the scientist going down, exploring some of the back rooms, all that fun stuff. But I haven't tried to like understand the lore. I guess for me that I have tried to keep some of the magic of
Yeah.
not knowing what it is. And I kind of wanted to keep that not knowing what it is going into the movie to see where they took it. And I
Did
feel
you
like we
ever
don't.
think that maybe the real Backrooms was the friends we made along the way?
That's where I think the group I saw with had I had a couple people that really didn't like it.
Mhm.
Um the once our therapist friend gets found by the scientist and Mr. Creep uh is he they take her they do some scans. We see them doing an MRI as they're an MRI company, scanning her and then putting her in an interview room, and he's trying to ask her like, you looking for someone? Did you find the opening in this furniture store? And she was like, well, how do you know? You've been there? And he explains that we started making MRIs and then now we do this. And he's trying to get, she's like, what is going to happen to me? And he's like, that's not for me to decide, but we should talk about try like let's help each other understand what this is. And then it slowly fades, like zooms in on her face and then fades in back. We see all these images of the back rooms that are clearly her childhood home, different versions of her childhood home in the back rooms, and then seeing her sit as one of the people the back rooms has created, like a malformed memory of her.
Mhm.
And so we were with a friend whose take was that the scientist created her and put her there, but I don't think.
Oh, I think it has to do with, like, the memory thing of just, like
Yeah,
it like you were saying, like, it has a memory of people who have, like, walked through,
yeah,
that would just be, like, a replica of it. Or if it is,
yeah,
like or I don't know, I didn't look at it, like, too much, and obviously it changes, but if is, like, whenever there's a hole, it, like, just starts to be a reflection that, like, the deeper down it goes, the more poorly it's remembered, like,
yeah,
oh, wherever their portal is, like, this is how far the interrogation room is from that.
yeah. I didn't take it as her actually being stuck in like her being malformed, stuck in this malformed body. I took it as her memories are now her trauma and her memories are now a part of the back rooms.
Mhm.
Was my interpretation personally. And my interpretation of why we see the scientists suited up so much. So
Yeah.
that the back rooms can't, as a way of a stopgap to try to stop it from learning their faces and in a way from learning their memories and trauma.
Oh, we were so close to having a modern horror movie that wasn't about trauma.
I know.
But yeah, no. Yeah, I think it's good. I am interested of like how this is like I saw a great video about how this is like folklore or modern folklore and all of that and how that develops. I think Slender Man is the other example that's kind of used of how because there's not like an official version like SCP, how it is more folklorish because it's not just collaborative fiction. It's just like it's the stories are told like we would tell those old stories.
Yeah, yeah. But I definitely with its success, I definitely think the ending left room for sequels.
Mhm.
Um, and I think we're likely to see a sequel.
I would not be surprised. I guess another question I have kind of with that is I think we haven't really seen one since like I guess we kind of had a few attempts in the 90s, but we didn't have anything as successful as like Nightmare on Elm Street or Friday the 13th in terms of like these mega franchises. Now we have like Saw and The Conjuring and all of this. Like, I guess my
Mhm.
question is, how do you think that there's still plenty of stuff we
Mhm.
can do with this, or is it um or like this should really be the only one? Because I know there's like all these lore videos and everything, but that's a version of like, oh, we all had this like idea for a scary monster, and then someone makes something that is just like the definitive like Wolfman movie, like all of that, and it's just okay, we're done. Like can't can't
I
can't.
think these things always do better, like analog horror and everything does better. I think ideally it should probably stay a standalone if you had to, maybe one more movie, because I think these are successful on the less is more.
Hmm.
Um, I think something like the back rooms, part of the creepiness, because there's a lot of if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, back rooms historians, but I think there's some lore videos. There are lore videos I've watched where there's not even a monster. It's just the unsettlingness just comes from exploring all these liminal spaces
Yeah,
and imagining
and
if you got trapped in a place where it's just these weird spaces. So it doesn't even necessarily have to be a monster like there's some monster after you. It's just this would be unsettling to your brain. And I don't think that works well in long form content, and that's what the internet's for.
I mean, I thought it worked. I guess you do have places that are normal, but I thought it worked great in long form. I
Yeah,
guess
I think for this specific movie, I think if we kept going though, I feel like if we make something like The Conjuring, they're gonna eventually want to explain more and more.
I guess it does speak to it of like as much as it was competently done and everything, why that may not be uh great going forward is the fact that we just completely skipped over the middle part, and even when talking about the like dinner scene we completely forget that he kills his assistant and his friends that like h- help him on a journey into the back rooms, which was when
Yeah,
they were basically doing the like more horror exploration single kind of camera shots.
yeah, yeah. His actions get his assistant manager of the furniture store and her boyfriend killed,
Mhm.
and he does not seem to give a fuck.
Well, I feel his actions, not that this absolves him of anything, but I feel like his actions got the boyfriend killed. He just straight up murdered his assistant manager, I think.
Yeah, yeah, because her head was in his Backrooms house fridge.
Yeah, classic women in fridge syndrome. Um,
Mhm.
Also, he doesn't even get anything from the fridge. Why does he need to open it? When all it will do
Right.
is say like, "I killed a woman I have tied up, but everything's gonna be fine."
Yeah, I don't the lesson is, gals, you cannot help a deranged man. Let them be
Yeah,
deranged on their own.
I think that is a great lesson, and also, ladies, feel how you feel. Obviously, you know better, and respect your feelings. But fellas, if you want to present yourself as non-threatening to a woman, a great way to do that is to not, for no reason, show her the rotting head of another woman you have killed while you have her tied up. I
Mhm.
think a little bit of a mixed message.
Yeah, it's a little confusing.
Yeah, don't you do it.
Also telling her, "I love being unhinged, and I love being a dick, and I love my shitty life, and I never wanna change." That also doesn't do it for the girlies typically, so
What
so if
they
you
don't want
want
to.
a healthy long-term relationship, that might not be the way to go about it.
Now, hold on. Have you considered that I'm actually always right? And it was just a few years after work. So uh, I don't need to change. I will totally become an architect. I am not a failed 43-year-old manager of a furniture store.
That's also dying.
He, it, what is he dying of? Does he have a disease?
Oh, no, his furniture store is dying. We see all the past due notices in his
Oh,
office.
yeah. Yeah, that was not was not great for Clark.
No.
So yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that was the backrooms.
those backrooms.
Honestly, I think, yeah, that was a good I mean, good job. I think for
Yeah,
a 20-year-old, great directorial debut, very impressive.
it's
Ambiance, set
like you were
good
born
job, kiddo.
15 years after this movie was made. Like, how do you understand the aesthetic so well? Like, I do think it's you know say it's entirely him, but I think that part of it has to do with just how fake and artificial, especially like so much nostalgia baiting is. It's nice to have something that is like there's a logical reason to film it in the 90s is things look roughly the same, but also you don't have to worry about or explain things like cell phones or the internet or anything like that. Um,
Mhm,
and also just like it's capturing a feeling of what it was like instead of just like or a heightened version of what it was like as opposed to just no, it's awesome because I was a kid and didn't have to think about stuff. And therefore it's the greatest moment in American history. Like, no, it was terrible. Bad things happened. Um, but like really strong, good vibes. I hope I don't know if I hope this, but oh yeah, another thing, exponentially better than Eddington. It is able to make a much more profound statement about the human condition and the moment we live in now than anything fucking Eddington was able to do in a coherent manner. So
Eddington's gonna haunt Max.
I just people are saying again, it's like, oh, it doesn't matter that the data center okay, just brief Eddington rant. All the people who are like, remember what Eddington said about the data centers? It's like, I don't want to go back to the movie, so if I'm wrong, fine, I'm wrong. But like, I don't think it was depicting. It wasn't deep of like depicting what we're worried about with data centers. It was just like, I don't know. I heard this word. It has to do with computers, and computers are bad. I don't think he at all considered like the ethical ramifications of AI, because they don't say the data centers are for AI. Um, and it's yeah, he's not saying anything or talking about the negative environmental impacts or whatever. He's just like a dumb thing to rail against that he doesn't understand.
Gotta love it. On American Dreamland, we love Eddington. We gave Eddington a 10 out of 10 Eddingtons.
It is the
And you
most
guys should all watch
Eddington
it.
movie that has ever been made.
You got Joaquin Phoenix, you got Pedro Pascal. What more? Do we have Austin Butler in it? Or am I hallucinating?
I ranted for a not inconsiderable amount of time about how badly I felt um, that Austin Butler will never be able to have the opportunity to make the most of his abilities. Because his character was so wasted and so pointless, and I I want my hatred of that movie to be pure, so I'm not going to look up if Ari Aster got divorced around the start of COVID, or recently got out of a bad relationship or anything, because
Well, his
I
breakup movie was Midsummer.
yeah, that's now I have to ask Misty, is as you've seen both, um,
Mhm.
is is that his breakup movie? And it was like I was able to cathartically handle what I needed to handle, or is he a divorced guy, a la the main character does in fact get cucked pretty hard?
No, I mean, I loved Midsummer. I love Hereditary and Midsummer, so and I saw Midsummer when I was going through a horrible breakup, and honestly, I had a great time. I think you would at least really like Hereditary. You gotta watch at least one of them.
Mm, no thanks. I'd rather not.
Max, I promise you. Would I steer you wrong?
Okay, I don't know. We may get a chance to talk about this later, but Chris recommended a movie that he watched in Alaska, and I watched it and caused a lot of psychic brain damage. And also, I think the most long lasting and scarring psychological damage I've gotten has been when Chris showed me the Marilyn Monroe biopic, um,
Mm,
Blonde. Um,
mm,
a part of me
mm.
died that day, and um, while I do not think he had malicious intent, I do think that is friends can harm me when they're suggesting movies they like.
I promise you Hereditary won't harm you.
I don't know. It's just him. Oh man, this Quirk Chungus family has neurodivergence and then handle it poorly. I don't know if I need another one of those movies. I could
It's
just talk to my family more.
it's about familial trauma, Max. Midsummer, honestly, my I guess hot take is I enjoy Midsummer more than I enjoy Hereditary, but I think I just saw it at a very specific time in my life.
You two met at a very interesting time in your life.
Mhm. Yep. Yep.
Uh, yeah, you know what? I'll allow. I don't want to say anything about Midsummer. I'm glad the the dumb college girlies have a movie of dumb empowerment, much like guys have had with like Fight Club and Boondock Saints for untold decades at this point.
It's good. I'm telling you, the conversations are good.
Probably because he had something he wanted to say, unlike in Eddington.
Yeah.
Burn.
Eddington is really bad. Eddington was shockingly horrific to me, especially when, like, because I love Yorgos Lanthimos, and I feel like even in, like, my least favorite Yorgos, I'm never, like, disappointed in a Yorgos film for me personally, like, I do really appreciate Yorgos and, like, I don't know even which one would be my least favorite, but, like, I'm never
I
like, "Wow, Yorgos,
Ironically, it's the
you."
favorite.
Maybe, I liked The Favorite.
I no, it was just a joke, but I think the difference is I mostly liked Begonia. Um, so yeah, like I mostly liked Begonia, but um I didn't really like the ending all that much. So I guess it could be like, but I understood what he was saying. And I think like a
Mhm.
big problem I have with Eddington is that like he's not really saying anything. And another thing is I think I know, like I'm aware of how much uh creative control he had in the movie, and like he was just like, I have such contempt for this movie. It's like, dude, this is your this is your thing. Like you can't have contempt for your,
Yeah.
like, and also it's pointless. Like everyone is wasted. I am amazed at um how competent and everything, like the first half of that movie is, and then it just immediately goes into like I don't give a shit.
There were some really strong points in Eddington, honestly. I wish we honestly had more time with Austin Butler and Emma Stone.
Like you know, greatest white people actors of the last 15 years, as far as I'm concerned. I have seen like two movies with Austin Butler in them. Elvis, or I guess three. Oh my god, I forgot I have seen the movie Eddington when I am ranting about how much I hate the movie Eddington. God damn, my mind does not want to hold on to that thought of a movie. I really like Austin Butler. He was amazing in Elvis, and I definitely any issues I had with his performance in Dune is more related to how Villeneuve kind of conceived that part of the storyline, which isn't to say I disliked it, but like any criticism I have would not be because of Austin Butler.
Yeah. I guess, yeah. I guess next time, I guess we'll end it here, folks. I think our next movie review, our movie palette cleanser will be, is it The Odyssey? It's coming out next?
Odyssey's coming out. I feel like that's oh, Chris can't really see movies right now because
Mhm.
of the failures of the economy. Um, I think maybe I had an idea. We'll see if we'll make a clip of this part and see how people respond to it. Maybe, but um, we could either do another movie. I feel if we get live streaming up and figured out, we could do a watch along of The Predator as I watch it for the first time. Um, but also maybe before then, it'd be something simple. Is that Louis Theroux survivalist episode from the '90s? Uh,
Mm, mhm.
we can maybe do that, and then maybe do a main feed episode about a guy who's in it called Bo Gertz, who's like the founder of the militia movement.
Okay. That sounds good to me.
All right.
Let us know what other movies. I know other movies on deck for the year that we will go and see are going to be obviously Odyssey. We'll go see the Chris Hansen movie.
Oh,
I
1000.
love that.
Uh, Probably I don't know. Look out for me pushing in our last episode that we just recorded, me heavily pushing for us to watch the documentary about To Catch a Predator, so we can name an episode Predator Badman. But which, like, we're making just so many listen brainstorms, but we absolutely should, if not To Catch a Predator directly, these like online pedophile catchers, because apparently they're responsible for like the race riots happening in Belfast right now, which I like I got a clip of like right as I was logging on to record, and I'm just like, okay, this is insane. I'm gonna have to like I thought it was just like a hate crime or something or like a jury trial, but apparently one of these like pedophile catcher YouTubers is like in some way affiliated with all of this. Which is great. And then yeah, no,
Right.
uh
Cool.
that Chris Hansen
Love it.
To Catch a Predator movie looks amazing.
It does. I saw the trailer for it, for
Okay,
the
like
during the back rooms.
here's the controversial point I'll end on, just explode the episode is I know I was praising Austin Butler earlier, he's amazing, but legitimately, is Robert Pattinson our greatest working actor right now?
He could be.
Like, especially if Daniel Day-Lewis is like, other than that one-off movie he just did, like if he's retired, like who is a like better, more consistent, like main actor? Like he's better than Matt Damon. He's better than Paul Dano. Like not anything against these people.
Mhm.
Like I think I like his movies way more than I like Leo DiCaprio. Even if we're just
Oh,
comparing Christopher Nolan movies, uh, Tenet over Inception for me.
yeah. Yeah, I'm excited. It'll be interesting to see. I'm interested. I'm intrigued.
Yeah, and he's going to be in the Odyssey,
Yeah, he will also be in the Odyssey.
which also apparently he's the only person who is like, can I see a script before I sign on to this movie?
Ah, gotta love our Pats.
Yeah. All right. Then for American
Mhm.
Dreamland, I'm Max Chavez.
And I'm Misty Stone.